Well, guess what? My subject is the kingdom of God. I'm conquered, I'm captured, I'm immersed in a study and putting it down of the kingdom of God. Nothing like it. So what I want to do now and the next other times to come with you is talk about the book. I'm immersed in it. I got up this morning at 3 and worked for about 4 hours, and I've reached the time when it's flowing, and that's what excites me. So let me just draw you a picture of where I'm going in it. The title of the book will be The Kingdom Is, then an ellipsis. If you don't know what an ellipsis is, don't be ashamed. I didn't know how to describe it. I knew what it meant, but I didn't have a definition. An ellipsis is 3 periods following a statement or a word that indicates there is more. There's a whole lot more. And so my first title for the book was the Cosmic Initiative. Now I really liked that, but it was a little too much like Dallas Willard's book entitled Divine Conspiracy. That's exactly what it is. I would probably have been accused of plagiarism, and I don't mind that, and maybe forewarned is to be judged yourself and be forgiven. But I'm going to have a chapter on the subject. That would have been the title of the book had I done it a year ago. The Cosmic Initiative is the kingdom of God coming. The scientific word is inexorably. Now, inexorable means can't help it, can't stop it. It's inevitable. It's inexorable. That is, the kingdom has come, is here, and is coming. So keep that in mind. It's sort of cryptic. The book will begin simply as a title, The Kingdom Is. The kingdom has always been. The kingdom will always be. The kingdom is. When I sat down to begin to write, I hearkened back to 44 years ago when I sat down to write a book. My task had really occurred miraculously. Revival had taken place, not typical revival. We labeled anything revival that took more than 2 or 3 days to do, and it was that time of year to get saved if you were going to get saved. And so we had a revival every August in our little Baptist church in the country. But I learned later that it was neither revival nor anything else that resembled revival. But we had had an awakening in our church. Just 2 or 3 things about it would make you interested in it. God came in manifest presence and really laid us out. First, the staff in a little country home preparing for that year. This was early in 1970, a lot of years ago. And we were praying for awakening in our church, and didn't know what it looked like, but we got into the praying mode. Some great revivalist has said, when God gets set to bring an awakening, he sets his people a-praying. So that's exactly what happened. We were praying. And we became certain as we prayed in that little farmhouse, as God laid us out weeping after we had handled the schedule of the year and thinking about all the details. But we prayed God would come on it. Little did we know that God would come on it in such a way as few of our plans could work out. God simply got in the way, and we loved him being in the way. So we had an awakening. We had a revival. We had 2,000 people saved in less than 6 months. The church doubled in a year, from 1,000 to 2,000, and then another year 3,000 and 4,000. Had we known what to do, it might have been different, might have been longer, but it was something we'll never get over. And so as I sat down to write this book, I realized something. I hearkened back to the time I sat down to write that book under the title of The Key to Triumphant Living. I loved the title. I knew it's what I ought to write about. And I didn't have anybody to publish it. I was invited to the Nashville, Tennessee area to report on what God was doing at Castle Hills First Baptist Church in San Antonio, Texas. And to make a longer story short, they came to get us in a private plane. The pilot had had most of his experience in crop dusting planes. He didn't know what to do when things changed in the atmosphere. As an afterthought, not an afterthought, as a God thought, my pilot, a member of my church, was an expert in anything that would get off the ground. Helicopter, gyrocopter, small planes, large planes, and he went with us. As we made the trip from San Antonio to Nashville, we awakened to the fact, with a flashlight in the cabin, that there was a blinding snowstorm. We were in it and didn't know it. We had to abort the trip and land in Little Rock. One thing led to another, and the next day I had to catch a commercial plane the rest of the way to Nashville. Got there, and there had been the greatest blizzard in 50 years of history. And there we were. I gave a report to a marketing and research committee and threw everything out of kilter. We wound up on our knees, on our faces, in prayer. And I walked out of that meeting with a promised contract to write a book on what God was doing. I went home and waited for the contract. Went ahead and started some on the book. Never had written a book. I sat down to write, and God began mightily to move. I had a contract on my desk in a matter of days, but in a prior call to the coming of the contract, the theologian of the press, Broadman Press, one of the largest publishers in the country, representing 35,000 churches in the Southern Baptist Convention, had sent me a contract to write a book. Oh, by the way, he said, we need it in 6 weeks. I sat down to write. I opened this book, The Kingdom Is, with that memory in mind. I think you'll enjoy reading the introduction. And that's as far as we'll get today. I thought that might intrigue you. It thrills me yet. God bless you with a great Kingdom Day.